Hi, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about something that happened last week, the day after our Kwanzaa book. I don't know if you guys celebrated it or not. I stayed up pretty late with my little sister. We're talking about New Year today. So, Happy New Year. Okay, here we go. Celebrating a new year. A new year is a new beginning. On January 1st, people all around the world celebrate the arrival of a new year with fireworks and parties. They look back over the year that ended and think of ways to make the coming year even better. While most people celebrate the new year of the Gregorian calendar on January 1st, many people also celebrate the New Year holidays that fall on other dates. So Gregorian calendar is just a fancy name for the calendar you probably have at your house. This is because not all calendars start on January 1st. For example, the New Year in the traditional Chinese calendar and a lot of East and Southeast Asian calendars falls in late January or February. All right, so a word that came up, get me to share my screen. There, okay. So they talked about the new year. And this is a little picture here that I have of the new year, which if anyone knows what number it is, let's see, 2021. Or sometimes they call it 2021. So the new year is 2021, and the old year was 2020. All right, let's move on. We will stop the share. Fun at midnight. The new year that starts on January 1st begins at midnight, or 12 o'clock a.m. Therefore, many New Year's celebrations last past midnight. Midnight's really late. You probably aren't normally up at midnight. I know. When I was young, I usually went to sleep around 9. I might have a bedtime of 9 or 8, or maybe even 10. But midnight's a little bit past that even. Parents often let their kids stay up until midnight on New Year's Eve. At midnight, people say, Happy New Year to each other. Many people sing a song called Auld Lang Syne, which means time's gone by. The song speaks of remembering the past. So in the new year, a lot of people remember things from the past, which is something else that the next book we're going to read is going to talk about. People make lots of noise at midnight. Some people hit pots and pans together. Many towns have loud fireworks to welcome the new year. You like fireworks? Another time that we have fireworks is during the 4th of July, right? Sometimes during the summer. Fireworks are kind of scary. I know my dog used to be really scared of fireworks. It can get pretty loud. New Year's Day. While there is lots of celebrating at midnight on January 1st, there are also many traditions that take place later in the day. January 1st is called New Year's Day. People in the southern part of the United States often eat a vegetable called black-eyed peas on New Year's Day. This is said to bring good luck for the rest of the year. The Tournament of Roses parade in Pasadena, California, almost always takes place on New Year's Day. The parade has marching bands and specially trained horses. It also has big floats covered with lots of beautiful flowers. Yeah, so that's a pretty big parade. You like parades? I used to march in some parades. I was in a few. I don't really like them too much. It gets really hot outside for me. or really cold, depending if they're during the winter. Okay. New Year's resolutions. All right. For many people, the new year is a time to make a fresh start. As each new year draws closer, people think about how to make themselves better people. They make New Year's resolutions about the things they will do differently in the coming year. Some people promise themselves they will exercise more often. Others decide to learn a new skill or take up an interesting hobby. Have you ever made a New Year's resolution? Some kids resolve or promise to get along better with their brothers or sisters. Other kids decide that they will help their parents more. So that is going to be our next vocab word, resolution. Now let's see here. So you might have a list of things, and this is going to be something we play with a little later, that during the next year, you're going to try to get better at or to do differently, right? So you remember the things that went well and the things that went badly, and then we write down what we want to do differently this year. So your resolution might be to, instead this year you want to play baseball, or you want to get better at hula hooping, or you want to be you want to say thank you more. Any kind of thing really can be something that you want to do during the next year, is what a New Year's resolution is. I'll come back here. I think he's resolving, his resolution is to help whoever's car that is by washing it for them. And yeah, okay. The next part is on a couple different New Year's, but we will cover those when they come up. So that's something to look forward to. The next book we have to read is called The Most Beautiful Thing. What do you think the most beautiful thing is? I think the most beautiful thing is like something really shiny, maybe? I don't know. I guess we'll see, because it's called The Most Beautiful Thing. I think she'll tell us. Let's see how cool designs on the inside. My grandmother is old. My grandmother is so old that no one knows how old she is. Not me, not my big sister Dob, not our older cousin Lay. My father waits patiently when we try to guess her age. He is my grandmother's ninth and youngest child, and even he does not know how old she is. There's the grandma. I think that's her sister, and that's the older cousin. That's the dad, and that's the grandma. That's pretty old for no one to know how old you are. And she also had nine children. So I don't know if any of you have 8 brothers and sisters, but he does apparently. A lot of people to share with, right? We know that my grandmother was born on the other side of the world, across a wide ocean. My grandma came from a time and a place where creatures lurked in the jungle waiting to chase unwary children. She told us that she once looked into the gleaming eyes of a tiger and felt its hot breath on her face. That's really scary. I don't know if you've ever seen a tiger or any kind of big animal in the wild, but it is pretty scary. It is pretty scary. By the time I was born, my grandmother had already had an old woman's face. Her skin was soft but dry like paper. In her mouth was a single tooth. Grandma said, "It is the only thing standing strong in my mouth, this final tooth that my mother and father gave me." She has just one tooth. I don't know how many teeth you have. I have quite a few. Yeah, I think I have at least 20 or so. You might have more. I think you have more teeth when you're a kid. I don't know though. I don't remember. I think later on you just get bigger teeth, but there are less of them. It might just be with bones. I asked to see a picture of her parents. She said, "Meneb, they lived in a long time before the Hmong learned of such things as photographs." She points to her heart. "The only picture I have of them is here." This is what they look like, but she doesn't have a picture. She just has it in her mind or in her heart. She remembers them. Hmong people are people who originally come from the place that her grandmother came from, somewhere with a lot of jungles. But a lot of them today come from Minnesota, which is where we live right now. The luckiest of the grandchildren got to help take care of Grandma. Leia got to wash Grandma's face. Leia got to wash Grandma's clothes by hand at the bathroom sink with sweet-smelling pink soap. Dob got to wash Grandma's soft brown back in the bathtub with a soapy cloth. Helping her out. She's washing her clothes. She was helping wash her back. Very nice of them. And me, I got to clip her fingernails and toenails while Grandma sat on her favorite stool in the light from the window. I can still feel the roughness of Grandma's heels in my hand, the thickness of her toenails in between my fingers. I can see the bottom of her feet, thick and brown and broken, deep cracks filled with dirt from long ago and far away. See? Yeah. I remember when I was really young, when I was fairly young, I used to need help trimming my toenails and my fingernails. And it's nice that all of her grandchildren help her out. Do you help out your grandparents or maybe your mom or your dad? Okay. Probably don't. You might not trim their toenails or fingernails or even wash their clothes, but maybe you hold things open or you carry things from place to place for them. Grandma told me that her mother and father died when she was a little girl. Grandma was just a child herself, but she had to take care of her two younger brothers and baby sister. I looked up at my grandmother from the place where I sat at her feet, and I asked her, "How did you get food for them?" Oh, here she is. Her two younger brothers and her baby sister. Grandma said, "I didn't find enough food. We were always with hunger eating us on the inside. All my life with her, even with just her one tooth, Grandma never said no when we offered her something to eat." The ice cream truck was singing its song from down the street. I looked underneath for quarters. There were none. So I got ice cubes from the freezer. Have you ever seen an ice cream truck? I don't think they're as popular as they used to be. And they're only really in, I think, bigger cities. When I was really young, there was, I think, one ice cream truck where I lived. But I haven't seen an ice cream truck in many years. I offered one to my grandmother in a plastic cup. She smiled at me. Because she doesn't have any quarters to buy ice cream, she makes her own cold thing with the ice cubes for her and her grandma. When I wanted a new dress to wear on the first day of third grade, my mother said she did not have enough money. She found some nickels and a dime in her purse and offered them to me. I bought hard peppermint candies from the neighborhood grocery on the corner of our block. When I got home, I offered one to Grandma on the palm of my hand. She smiled at me. See? There she is smiling with her one too. Oh, the peppermints. It's very nice of her to share them. And her mom is sharing money with her. At the round table with its shaky legs, I used my spoon to mix and mix in the center soup bowl we all shared. There were no pieces of meat, only bones and soft grains. My father said, "The price of meat is too expensive at the market." Menaib, Menaib. You hear them saying Menaib quite a bit, right? Menaib just means like honey or sweetie or like dear. So it might be something that you hear from, your parents or grandparents or someone who's close to you. In my language, we say sayang, which means basically the same thing. It's just sort of a nice nickname to call someone. I found a thick chunk of bone and offered it to Grandma on my spoon. She smiled at me. Well, she offered her the bone for her soup. We had plenty of meat only when we celebrated Hmong New Year with our aunts, uncles, and cousins. Well, Hmong New Year is another one of those New Years, like we were talking about earlier, that isn't on January 1st. I don't know when Hmong New Year is on though. The old table was heavy with whole boiled chickens, more than our family could ever eat. After dinner, our bellies full, my cousins and I sat on the carpet around Grandma as she told us stories. She always began, "It was a long time ago, and I was just a little girl." As we listened, our eyes grew round. Grandma twisted her fingers one over the other to show us what the hands of Podge took. Took. Jungle spirits, the size of children, and who looked just like them. Look at that. It's pretty spooky. She told us how to listen for the cries of the fearsome Fimnu lies by holding our breaths until our hearts pounded in our ears. I think that's another scary thing that lives in the woods. We were always sad when Aunt Chu called, "Time for the children to help clean up." On a cold day, when the snow blew onto the window panes and the light was dim, I asked Grandma about the dirt in her feet. She told me she didn't have shoes after her mother and father died. She went shoeless to the mountains to tend to the family field. She ventured into the jungle to look for wild roots, bamboo shoots, and edible mushrooms. And one day, she was chased by a tiger. As she fled, her bare feet broke open on the fallen branches. She still ran, blood and dirt mixing by each step. Yeah, that looks really scary. She had to run away from a tiger. I squeezed her feet in my arms and pulled them closer to my heart. A hug for the hard roadsides walked to get to me. Each year, cutting my grandma's nails went faster because I grew stronger and bigger and more able. Each year, Grandma's feet felt smaller and smaller in my hands and my lap. Her stories, too, slowed with the passing years. The pauses between her words grew long. Yeah, sometimes things seem smaller when you get bigger. Sometimes, as Grandma was looking for the words she'd lost to the years, I grew distracted from my task, looking at the toys on the floor that needed to be picked up, the unfinished schoolwork, the younger children who needed to be bathed. She has other things now, but she still helps her grandma. Her deep, even breathing would call me back to the moment, only to find her eyes closed in sleep. One hand braced to cradle her head. Oh, she just fell asleep. I grew unhappy with our life. I was tired of getting ice cubes from the freezer when I wanted ice cream. I was tired of never getting the new dress for that first day of school. I was tired of gnawing on the bone in the soup when I wanted meat for myself and my grandma. One evening, I studied my face in the bathroom mirror, wishing my teeth were straight. I came out of the bathroom and said, "Mom and Dad, I want braces. Can I have them?" I don't know if any of you have braces, but they're supposed to help straighten out your teeth. Go to kind of a dentist, except a special dentist who does stuff with braces, I think. My mother looked up from nursing my baby sister and said, "We don't have any money. Maybe next year?" My father looked up from my toddler sister who was bouncing on his legs and said, "I wish we could get you braces, and Abe, but we can't right now." They don't have enough money since they have to get food and everything for the kids. My grandmother looked up from her special stool by the big window. "Kalia," she said, "look at me." I turned to her in the glow of the early evening. The sun was low in the sky, and its golden light fell on her face. Grandma asked, "Is my smile not beautiful?" In that moment, I could see all the times my grandmother had smiled at me. I could taste the cold ice cubes that melted summer's heat from our tongues, the sweetness of the hard peppermint candies, and the deep flavors of the bone broth in the bowls of boiled greens. Even now, I can still see my grandma's single tooth, white against the shadow, standing tall in her open mouth. Her smile was the most beautiful thing. Oh. So I guess that's what the most beautiful thing is. Okay, well, I think we're gonna do our craft now. So we're going to just need some markers, maybe pencils if you want any, and paper, of course, paper. All right, I'll see you in a second while I go get mine. All right, I got my paper, I got my markers. So we're gonna take a piece of paper, and on one side, we're going to draw a picture. Okay, let's draw a picture of something that we like from this year, something that went well. Remembering something like the most beautiful thing. Something that I liked about this year is I liked reading some really good books and listening to on tape. So I'm going to draw a picture of an audiobook is what I think I'll do. So I need my orange for this. So what I'll do, so I'll draw this. Maybe I'll draw like a little book on it. All right, so we have our piece of paper, we have our markers. So the first thing I want us to draw is something from this year that went well, or something that we liked. And so I'm choosing to draw an audio book, which is a book that you listen to, because it lets me last year, it let me read a lot of books while I drive, which normally you can't do because I have to look at the road. So I think that that was something that went well this year that I did that I really liked. So draw a little picture. And then you can draw a little picture of something that you liked from this year, from this last year, or something that you thought was good about this last year. And I put it on a screen because usually it's from my phone and then I put it in. All right. So the next picture we want to draw is, if you remember our word resolution, we're going to draw something that we want to do better this year. All right. So we have the back of our paper, and something I want to do better is being more thoughtful. So thinking more about other people and all sorts of people, and just thinking more about things in general. So I'm going to draw a little brain and do some thinking clouds. You have little squigglies on your brain, right? Okay. I haven't seen my brain before, so I don't really know what it looks like. I think you probably have seen your brain, but maybe you've seen a picture of it. You can get an X-ray or something. You can take a picture of your brain, or they do a special one called an MRI. They use like a magnet to look like your brain, but like they don't have to like open your head. They just like see it through. So this is my little brain, and then I think I'll do like, you know how they have those bubbles in like comic books or sometimes in the newspaper where they have like their thoughts appear. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. And then you can do something. Maybe you also want to be more thoughtful. Maybe you want to draw your parents because you want to be nicer to them, or you want to do more things for them, or maybe you want to draw anything, you know. I'm going to draw a picture. I'm going to draw a little picture. So in there. And my little thought. So I'm going to be thinking more. Oh, it did not end up looking too nice. Oh well, that could be a different resolution, is to get better at drawing, maybe. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the hair did not end up very nice, but I think otherwise it looks okay. Right? So now we have two pictures, and I think that this next year, oh, that's it. Okay. Next year we can, or this year, we can make sure we try to do things that we liked from last year and do something that we try to fix something that we didn't like about last year. Okay. All right, everyone. That will be it for me this week. I think next week we're going to talk about polar bears. We'll see. We'll see. All right. Bye, everyone.